College, the preseason pick to win the Southern Conference, will face the #2 team in the country, the defending national champions, 11-1 South Carolina. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Along with Christy Thomas-Gutty, I'm Brenda Van Lingen. Well, here comes South Carolina back. 64 games in a row they have won at home. They've had a 6-day holiday break, and they're preparing for SEC play. What can we expect today?
Well, I think from head coach Staley, she wants her team to play to the standard. What is that? That's championship-level habits to create positive momentum to go into SEC play.
And all year long, we've talked about South Carolina not having that dominant center, but what they've done has been pretty impressive.
Well, 10 out of the last 11 years, the paint has been anchored by an All-American. This year, it is done by committee in all three facets of the game. I think the full-court defense is even better this season. They are active. They disrupt in the full court. They can get out and run consistently in transition. I think that helps with the overall pace of play as well. And one consistent with all these posts for Staley is they're really good on the glass. And Brenda, here's the thing. We can talk about All-America Camila Cardozo not being here anymore as she led them in points, rebounds, and blocks a year ago. But by committee, you see what Chloe Kitts, Sanaya Fagan, and Joyce Edwards and Ashlyn Watkins are doing this season. Not too far off the pace of a national championship team.
Staley has them cooking once again, and in this matchup with Wofford College, they will have the size advantage on every player on the court. But Staley knows this is an opportunity, as their last couple of games before the holiday break weren't up to their standard. They'll go for it today as South Carolina has the first possession of the game. Raven Johnson bringing it into the front court. You mentioned South Carolina, those two games right before the holiday break against South Florida, against Charleston Southern, did not play great, not up to their standard in those two games, and missing the first shot on the first possession. As we look at the preseason pick to win the SoCon, Rachel Rose has the ball. She is the two-time player of the year in the SoCon. They bring back Helen Matthews, who was injured last year, and a lot of talented young players around.
Well, and I asked Jimmy Garrity yesterday, what about the pace of play? He said it's going to be difficult if we can't get some easy scoring opportunities in the half court.
South Carolina and Bree Hall hitting the first three-pointer of the game. Pow, pow, of course. Sanaya Fagan has been playing so well, and Raven Johnson rounding out that starting five. Chloe Kitts out in the lineup as well. Did not have a great game. 0 points in that Charleston Southern game before the break.
But I think this is an example of South Carolina. We as fans focus so much on points. Chloe Kitts is doing it with assists. She's doing it with her defense. She's doing it with her rebounding. And Staley has always said her four-player needs to be the brains of operation on the floor, and that's what Chloe Kitts does for the Gamecocks.
Helen Matthews tries to go around Johnson, the hustle for the loose ball, and Puck retrieving it, but not able to finish.
And I think this is a key for Wofford today, their transition defense, because we know South Carolina wants to get out and run.
And look at the hustle by Puck, the sophomore who was the SoCon Freshman of the Year last year, rips that one away and draws the foul, as Jimmy Garrity, the head coach of this Wofford program in his 9th season, 2 years ago was the conference coach of the year, of course, facing Staley. And Coach Garrity showed his appreciation to Coach Staley for scheduling this game, the 3-time national champion. But this is an opportunity for a team that's from just down the road in Spartanburg, South Carolina, to have the opportunity to play here in Columbia.
Well, it's a great opportunity, first and foremost, to play the defending national champions. But this is a Wofford team whose aspiration is to win the SoCon. So to be the best, you want to play the best and get ready by playing the Gamecocks.
Johnson misses from the corner, and Heiss with the rebound, but throws it away. Johnson powers it up inside. Maddie Heiss with the basketball. She is the second leading scorer behind Rachel Rose on this team. Her job Number 2 for Wofford is to score. That's what Jimmy Garrity wants from her.
And you'll see Wofford, they want to spread the floor, go 5 out at times, 4 out, 1 in at times. And so they want to try to get downhill. But so far, the one-on-one defense has been really good for South Carolina.
0 for 6 for the Terriers on the offensive end. And then Matthews gets called for the foul in the back.
One thing that's been a constant under Dawn Staley is her team's defend. Raven Johnson reads the outlet pass, gets the steal, and then gets the bucket. You cannot rest against the Gamecocks in any facet.
Over 24 points off turnovers for South Carolina. And another impressive stat is their bench outscores their starting 5. And already 3 players coming in Watkins and Fulwiley, as well as the phenomenal freshman Joyce Edwards. There's Edwards inside. The pass over the top, gathers and scores. Rachel Rose played the first game of the year for Wofford, then was injured, was out 5 games. There she is with the ball in her hands and has just been back the 3 games previous. She is a scorer, and that's what she does.
Well, Ashlyn Watkins went back into the paint to try to clog that up. I think she forgot who she was on, and that was way too much space for Rose.
Yeah, Rose averages almost 14 points a game this year. She averaged over 22 points a game last year. For Wiley, missing that long-range shot.
I mean, you mentioned the height advantage for South Carolina. You see they're able to close out short, and if they don't close out short, you've got one of the top shot blockers in the country in Ashlyn Watkins. And then on the offensive end for South Carolina, because they can shoot the 3, because they're all scoring threats, they can space the floor. Weak side's supposed to be there to help on that lob. It can't get there in time because of the well-placed pass for 2.
There's Rachel Rose against Fulwiley, and they pull it back out. This is a Wofford team that has challenged themselves this year. They played at Kentucky. They played at Duke, losing both those games, and right before the holiday break, played at Lehigh as well. As you mentioned, they want to play against the best to prepare for the SoCon.
Well, I love that this team has accepted the challenge. They want to play in the NCAA tournament. How do you prepare for that? With a challenging schedule.
Maddie Heiss out in front, misses the layup. Kind of heard footsteps coming from behind with Pow Pow. Rose tries to get the steal. Good protection by Pow Pow. And Watkins there for the rebound and put back.
So 4 times Wofford's been able to get to the rim, and they haven't been able to convert the layups or easy points. That's another aspect of how the length of South Carolina, now 5, can affect an opposing team's offense.
Yeah, Rose only 5'7", very competitive and courageous, goes right in there, but with that size. And Heiss steps on the sideline. It'll be South Carolina basketball when we come back. Wofford College taking on South Carolina here in Columbia.
All-Americans will graduate from this program, but what does Dawn Staley do? She reloads with freshmen, and right now it is Joyce Edwards. She started the first 10 games of the season only averaging 9 points a game. The last 2 games alone, she's averaging 20. She's been on a tear. She can play positions 1 through 5. She can disrupt defensively. She's great on the glass, and her offensive game is really starting to hit its stride.
And it's just incredible as you look at her honors during the course of her high school career coming in here. It's amazing. She didn't make the cut for the USA under 16 or under 17 team. And when she got invited to the U19 team, initially she didn't want to go, but her parents encouraged her. Think of it less as a tryout and more of an opportunity to change your perspective. So she went to compete and study the older players. And not only did she make the U19 team, but she was a top 5 player at the U19 World Cup in Spain. And it also impacted her choice to come to South Carolina. That that experience that she had with USA Basketball.
Well, Brenda, as you speak about that story, it just says to me that this is a perfect fit for Joyce Edwards to be here under Dawn Staley's tutelage here at South Carolina, because you have to be a selfless player to play in this system. We know that every player in this program could be an All-American in other programs in terms of how they do it. But this is a team that is built for April to cut down nets.
And there she is right there, powering up inside, paying it off.
I think she heard you talking about her.
She is a phenomenal player and so much fun to watch and so mature. If you listen to her in the post-game interviews and what she has to say and her perspective, just a remarkable young woman. Ikiwu into the game, missing that one, and a tough start for Wofford. Just 2 of their first 13 from the field. Edwards double team. Fulwiley for 3, got it. Just her 10th three-pointer of the year, but great recognition from Edwards to pass out of the double team.
Well, and that was one thing Dawn Staley said to us today, is that she would hope that the three-point shooting picks up by this ball club as they get ready for SEC play.
Matthews over to Pock. There's that mid-range jumper. Had an open look at it.
Wofford just seems rushed on their shots right now. Some of that's the length of South Carolina. Some of that's the speed of South Carolina.
Tessa Johnson into the game. Misses that three-pointer. And here comes Rachel Rose. Rose pulls up for the 3. Recognizes she's open. And she is a tremendous three-point shooter.
Well, you mentioned the toughness of Rachel Rose. This young lady broke her nose in the last ball game, and she's out here playing today without even a mask on. I think it just goes to show her overall toughness.
Watkins slides right by the defenders and off the window. 10-point lead for the Gamecocks. Now, you mentioned Rachel Rose with the basketball, number 12, 2-time SoCon Player of the Year. And if you get a good shot today, you'll see that she definitely has a broken nose, and she is playing through it. An opportunity here after a steal. You don't want to wait too long, because Watkins will be there to intimidate.
Well, and I think another example, Hugh waits because she thinks the shot blocking is coming instead of just going right up with it.
Edwards rebounds it among 3 Wofford players. And there's Rose, one of the smallest players on the floor. She is a competitor.
Small in stature, large in heart.
Being defended by the best defender for South Carolina. She kicks out. Massengale, Molly Massengale, just a freshman, hits the three-pointer.
Well, Jimmy Garrity said to us yesterday that's been a disappointment for him for this season, that his team hasn't shot the ball as well from 3 as they have in previous years, but he's got to feel good about how they've started this game from the three-point line.
The ball is kicked. Will be South Carolina basketball. Yeah, we talked to him. That is a play that is a part of their game that has been a real strength of theirs. As we get a good look there, you can see the Band-Aid across the nose for Rachel Rose. But they've been a good three-point shooting team in the past. They're 3 of 7 today. Good start today.
They've been the top scoring offense in the SoCon 5 of the last 6 years. They've been the best in terms of threes made in the SoCon 4 of the last 6 years. And he said it's been a head-scratcher because he really doesn't understand why they haven't. But shooting's contagious. All it takes is one player to get hot, and then this team can go on a tear.
And on the other side, Tessa Johnson, who's a 46% three-point shooter for South Carolina, is 0 for 3 from beyond the arc to get started today.
I have no doubt Tessa Johnson's going to get it going.
Now, we say 3 of 7 for Wofford from three-point range, but they're 0 for 11 from inside the arc so far in this game. 5 on the shot clock. Johnson all over Rose. Matthews finds a crease. Little floater. Finally, the first 2-point basket of the game for the Terriers.
Remarkable finish by Matthews. First of all, to realize shot clock's going down to get that shot off, but she's a righty, and she put that up with the left hand to avoid the block.
South Carolina has held opponents to single digits in a quarter 8 times this year. It's a bit of a victory just for Wofford to get to that double digit here in the first quarter. Pow pow. Chloe Kitts, no. Strong inside and staying with it, Sanaya Fagan.
Death, Texas, and South Carolina on the offensive glass. It starts with Chloe Kitts, and then it's the veteran, Sanaya Fagan, just powering this shot up, and you see the flex at the end.
Maddie Hawk, the freshman for Wofford, picked up the foul. Fagan is at the free throw line, an 80% free throw shooter, and one player you haven't seen rotate into the lineup for South Carolina is Maddie McDaniel, the terrific freshman, as she is out with a concussion. A whistle and a foul on Wofford, on Massengale, and so South Carolina has an opportunity here with 4 seconds in the first quarter.
I mentioned before, Dawn Staley builds for April. So right now, she's working on it in the quarter, in the game situation, as she got her team set up.
Chloe Kitts gets it at the top of the key. Out to the corner, and no good at the buzzer. Right after the holiday break, both teams trying to shake off the rust a little bit, and the Gamecocks with an 8-point lead. Welcome back to Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks leading 19-11 at the end of the first quarter as we begin the second. Now, before the holiday break, they played Charleston and did not shoot well at all in the first quarter. Actually, 2 of 14 from the field. So coming back out of the holiday break, shooting better, probably not quite at the level that they would want, but better than they had going into break.
Well, I am no Dawn Staley, so I'm going to start with that comment. However, what I'll say is that last game before break is one of the hardest games to coach because players are human. They're ready to get home. So I think as much as we can focus on the Charleston Southern slow output, she's more worried about today. How would they respond for that? Would they learn from that? And I got to believe she's been pretty pleased. However, the areas that she still wants her team to get better at, we're not seeing that much of improvement. They were only +2 in the first quarter on the glass, and still not shooting that well from 3. However, Wofford is.
Yeah, Molly Massengale with another 3-pointer. The Terriers now 4 of 8 from beyond the arc and draw it within 5 points. Chloe Kitts there with an offensive rebound. She's fouled on the floor before the shot. Well, coming up next, we cap the afternoon triple header with number 5 Texas hosting the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley at the Moody Center in Austin. Earlier today, you saw Vanderbilt get the win, as everybody has those last games before SEC play. Another foul on Wofford stops play.
Well, of the 16 SEC teams, only Texas A&M does not have a game either yesterday or today. So to your point, Brenda, everyone wants this last fine-tunement before SEC.
Well, that's not a good sign for Wofford, who's shorthanded today anyway. Molly Massengale picked up her second foul. She's already made a couple of 3-pointers, as Tessa Johnson still hasn't scored. But an offensive rebound for South Carolina, moving the ball. Fagan with a strong move to the baseline.
When you're seeing South Carolina get on the glass, it's one of 2 things. There's paint touches, and you see a couple players going to try to double that, and that's leaving weak side rebounds open for South Carolina. Or it's just Chloe Kitts who just gets to the glass, whether she's touched or not.
Pock with the basketball. Yeah, Pock, number 3, and Maddie Hawk, number 1, as that one is erased. What a block from Sanaya Fagan.
Fagan is playing so well this year. She is slowed down on the offensive end and just takes what the defense gives her, feels the defender on her backside, and uses that spin move. And then on the other end, Dawn Staley has told her she wants her to anchor both ends of the floor. I think back-to-back possessions will make the head coach really happy.
And the shot clock was down to 1, and Wofford not able to hit the rim on their attempt, so better defense that time for the Gamecocks.
And you brought up Maddie McDaniel not being out here, so you're seeing Pow running a little bit more of the point with Raven Johnson on the bench right now.
Johnson missing on the drive, but she is fouled. Yes, if you're just joining us, Maddie McDaniel not available for South Carolina. The 5'9" freshman point guard out with a concussion. We attended shoot around this morning. She wasn't around. We found out that she is not available. Disappointed because she is such a phenomenal talent. Really wanted to see her in person today. Hope she heals quickly.
Everything I've seen on film led me to ask assistant coach Jolette Law today, is she the next great point guard in your lineage? And she said absolutely. Did not hesitate.
Tessa Johnson finally gets on the scoreboard, making those free throws. She was fouled by Mia Floor from Wofford.
And you see Wofford run a lot of split action, 3 players getting in things, and just the disruptive nature of South Carolina's offense. They haven't gotten in a flow consistently in the half court.
5 turnovers for Wofford. Fulwiley checking back in as she replaces Bree Hall. Pow at that point guard position. Fulwiley. Oh, he's got to hold your breath when she goes into the paint for something exciting. Kitts is fouled. No. Block shot against Kitts.
Fulwiley's so good off the bounce, and you see the rotation of Pauk off of Kitts, and great read by Fulwiley to find Kitts down low. Even better feed by Tessa Johnson.
Oh, and rolls around the rim as Pow steps inbounds. Chloe Kitts double teamed. Look at the swarming defense for Wofford inside. Fulwiley, no. And Pow there for the rebound. She'll get another chance. This time, yes. And an offensive foul on Wofford. On Floor, her second foul. Fulwiley gets the 3 on the second chance.
Well, 9 offensive rebounds already for South Carolina, and this last time it's the kick out to Fulwiley, but it starts with weak side crashing, and Pow finds Fulwiley spotting up for that 3.
10-0, South Carolina leads on second chance points. You would think against a team like Wofford, where the Terriers are undersized at every position, this is real advantage for South Carolina, and they get the ball inside to Watkins.
Well, let's pick your poison. A lot of times when you're undersized, you want more ball pressure, but there's speed on the perimeter for South Carolina that the Terriers just can't match up with, so they play off a little bit. That opens up even better passing angles, and the lobs we're seeing consistently get inside to the bigs of South Carolina.
Matthews can't knock down the 3-pointer. The Gamecocks on a 9-0 run right now as a little teardrop from Pow makes it an 11-0 run.
And that shot by Te-Hina Pow is one area of growth. I've seen a lot. I've seen the defense is better from her this season, but it's the mid-range game that I really have seen improvement for her as she decided to come back for this 5th year to become more pro-ready.
Rachel Rose. Pauk blocked by Watkins. Out in front. Fagan off to Pow and the little lefty in. A timeout called by Wofford as it's a 13-0 run for South Carolina.
Well, for South Carolina, it's always going to be about rebounding and defense. And for South Carolina, it starts with the block by Ashlyn Watkins, and she immediately gets it to the post player who leads the break for another 2 for South Carolina.
8 different players for South Carolina have already scored as Dawn Staley getting everybody contributing. We mentioned the bench outscores the starters for South Carolina every game. That's how deep they are. They have the best bench in the country. They are very proud of that and should be. It's the strength of this program. On the other side, as they face Wofford today, they've had a good bench, but they have just been wrecked by injuries over the last couple of games. And Libby Privet, who had been contributing 6 points a game, is out with a wrist injury. Sarah Data also with an injury, an ACL in that Duke game. So Wofford a little short-handed as they come in here to play the #2 team in the country.
Which you need all hands on deck when you face South Carolina. But this is a Wofford team that had been averaging 26 points from the bench. And that's obviously been depleted here already this afternoon.
And Mia Floor commits the foul to send Edwards to the free throw line. South Carolina, 8 of their 9 players have scored already. You see the numbers from the bench and the defense holding Wofford to just 1 of 13 from inside the arc.
I think the statistic coming into today that really spoke volumes to me on the culture of Don Staley's program is that they have 7 players averaging between 7 and 11 points a game. It makes scouting this team really difficult because who are you going to try to limit? It may not even matter because someone else can go off on you.
It is so difficult to play South Carolina when they have so many players contributing. Helen Matthews actually picked up that foul for Wofford. Now 3 players for the Terriers have 2 fouls. Pock takes the ball to the rim, has it affected by Edwards. I believe it will stay on this end with 7 on the shot clock.
Another shot at the rim. And that was a great read by Paul. They just aren't able to finish. They're rushing once they get to the rim.
They've missed their last 7 shots now, the Terriers. And Raven Johnson gets a hand on the basketball. Fast break basket. 9-0 in favor of South Carolina so far.
And the defender had her hand on the ball or across Raven Johnson. That's the strength of Raven Johnson to take that up and finish.
Backdoor cut from Matthews. Short on that one. And it stays on this end.
Good job by Matthews. She's extending this possession just by following her shot there. And this is why it is so important to extend possession, because otherwise you got players like Raven Johnson shooting gaps, and you just see, okay, Matthews wasn't across the arm, but still the body control of Raven Johnson to take it up and finish.
Ooh, and Watkins blocked the shot, but followed through and committed the foul. And Rachel Rose, we mentioned, has a broken nose and is playing without a mask. And she will go to the free throw line for 3.
Ashlyn Watkins still pleading her case with the official.
As Watkins, not only a 2-time SoCon Player of the Year, but an academic All-American, a 3.9 student at Wofford, such a tough school, and converts on all 3 free throw attempts. Finally ending the run for South Carolina. Here she goes. This time tipped by Pock. She recovers out to Pow Pow. No. And another opportunity for the Gamecocks. And a foul away from the basketball, an illegal screen.
They got Edwards.
On Edwards. Dawn Staley and her team, one of the toughest schedules in the country. 5 games versus ranked opponents before the holiday break. 4 wins in those ranked opponents. The only loss of the year, of course, to UCLA. It's so much learned and taken away from that loss.
Well, they currently have the #1 strength of schedule, which now they're going into via the net, the strongest conference in the SEC as this conference play is about to begin. They're #2 in the net, and we know it's all about the quads, another aspect for selection this year, but Don Staley's put together a resume to once again vie for #1 seed.
And Tessa Johnson knocks down her first 3-pointer of the game. The sophomore has 5 points.
Don Staley saying today, Tessa Johnson as well as Mylasia Fulwiley could both be starters for us, but they understand our culture, our system, and they're good coming off the bench.
Mylasia Fulwiley picked up the foul.
Well, South Carolina, it starts with the pace. Raven Johnson scoping the floor the whole way, and then Malaysia Fulwiley, extra pass to Tessa Johnson in the corner. I told you she wouldn't stay scoreless from deep very long.
Absolutely. Averaging over 46% per game from three-point range. Just took a little while to shake off that holiday rust. And Heiss coming around the screen, misses that one. Fulwiley almost saves it back in play to Rose, but steps on the sideline. It will stay Wofford basketball.
A lot was made about Raven Johnson's slow start to the season as well. She wasn't shooting well from three in the first 5 games of the season. She was 0 of 13, but since then she's been shooting 46%. So again, I think especially for a point guard, new pieces around her. She's learning to play with them as well.
Watkins with another block. It will stay on this end. Just 8 seconds remaining on the shot clock. It's not easy to get anything up over Ashlyn Watkins.
No, I mean, Ashlyn Watkins came in today with 20 blocks on the season. Wofford as a team had 17.
And Watkins with 3 blocks already today. Rose puts the ball on the floor, gets a piece of the rim, but can't score it. Good defense by Pock to knock it away. Rose has an opportunity. It is clipped again by Watkins, her 4th block. Rose gets another opportunity and got it. 12 points now for Rachel Rose. Has only played 4 games this year out of the 10. This is her 5th game because of that injury.
South Carolina's got a mismatch with Rose on Edwards down low.
And a tough pass gets knocked away. Well, we jumpstart conference play in men's basketball next Saturday, January 4th, with a full slate of men's basketball games right here on the SEC Network. Georgia and Ole Miss start the day at noon. Then Mississippi State hosts South Carolina, followed by Missouri Auburn and Oklahoma Alabama. We cap the day with a Lone Star State rivalry between Texas and Texas A&M. That'll be fun, as now SEC rivals between those 2 schools.
I looked last night. 10 of the 16 men's teams are ranked in the top 25.
Yeah, just amazing. It will be a fun conference season for both the men and the women, as EQU, not able to score that one. Pow drains it. 7 points now for the super senior.
South Carolina pushes pace, so defense runs to the paint. You get a trail 3.
South Carolina 5 of 15 from 3, the same as Wofford in this game. Wofford just has made 1 2-pointer and another steal. South Carolina off to the races, and Johnson finishes. 7 points now for Tessa Johnson. Pock from the corner,
nice
hustles
follow.
And gets her own rebound and draws the foul against Watkins. But it's been South Carolina's defense leading to offense.
Just active hands. That should have been an easy 2, but Bree Hall doesn't give up on it. Gets the deflection, and then Tessa Johnson out running.
So Watkins goes to the bench with 2 fouls. Evangelia Pock at the free throw line, the SoCon Freshman of the Year last year. They had the Player of the Year and the Freshman of the Year, part of why they are preseason picked to win the SoCon this year with both those players back. And Pock converts on the free throw.
Pock just hasn't been able to make the shots in the half court, but she's been active on the glass. She saved 2 points in transition. She's been really good for them here this afternoon.
She will take a seat on the bench for the Terriers. Under a minute to play here in the second quarter. And a nice pass inside to Edwards. Kitts with the delivery. And just a great crowd on hand, as you have come to expect at South Carolina. A lot of families in town A lot of families out of town. There are probably a lot of new fans in attendance today.
And you got a lot of fans down in Florida getting ready for the Citrus Bowl. So just a great turnout here in Columbia this afternoon.
Rose from way downtown comes up short. And South Carolina will have it with 7.3 seconds remaining in the half. No, can't hit it at the buzzer, but South Carolina outscores Wofford 27-11 in the second quarter to take the 46-22 lead to the halftime. And we'll take an opportunity to send it to the studio. Dari and Kelly in the studio. In Columbia, South Carolina, the Asia Wilson statue out front, and we are looking ahead. See what I did there? To SEC play, but one half a play to go in this one as South Carolina leads Wofford 46-22 at the half. Alongside Christy Thomas-Cuddy, I'm Brenda Van Lingen. So South Carolina wants to play to their standard. Come out, play the offense that they want, the defense they want. How would you assess that first half?
I think Donce's got to be pleased. And at the same time, she knows there's things that they can continue to work on. But I think in terms of her big, she's got to be happy because what she has preached to them has come to fruition. It's been the defense. It's been the rebounding. They've been unselfless. They have been really good. 26 paint points, majority of those by the bigs. 5 blocks in terms of rim protection. 13 offensive rebounds in that first half. The bigs not only have shown up, they have made it such an impact already in this game.
And the numbers tell the tale. They are dominating in the paint. The bench players outscoring the starters again for South Carolina. 26-2 points in the paint. And for Wofford, our visiting team, Rose and Massengale have been the leading scorers. They're 5 of 9 from three-point range. The rest of the team combined has scored just 4 points. As we get started here at Colonial Life Arena in the second half, Hill off the mark on that first attempt.
Well, I asked Jimmy Garrity yesterday if we might see some of his zones, and he was like, no. He just came out in zone.
How about that?
Hey, coaches got to do it. Coaches got to do.
And preparing for their SoCon schedule. Preseason pick to win the SoCon, this Wofford team. They got a couple of games before conference play starts, as this time Mia Floor off the mark from three-point range. Jimmy Garrity in his 9th season. They tied for 3rd last year in conference play, lost in the semifinals. They want to win the SoCon tournament this year to make it to the NCAA tournament.
And Jimmy Garrity just said, do it again. He got to stop the last time. Why not?
And it forces a turnover, but a held ball will go on the way of the Terriers.
So if you're a Wofford fan, you got to feel really good about how the team has responded coming out of the break. 2 straight stops. Can they cut into this lead now?
Pock, a talented sophomore, number 3. Matthews has been quiet. She is a good scorer typically. There she is with the basketball. Still off the mark for Matthews.
Fagan's got the mismatch down low. She's asking for the ball.
Puts it up short as she was surrounded by the Terriers as she went up. Missed an easy one there. Pock, nice defense by Chloe Kitts, who recovers to defend yet another. Kitts is defending everyone, but somehow Floor is able to get it up.
I think every head coach wants to know how would their team respond at a halftime through adversity or whether it's been going their way. And so far, I think if you're a Wofford fan, you've got to be really happy. And Fagan with not just the rebound, but the assist in 1 touch.
Didn't even bring her other hand over to it. Just one-handed it right over to Chloe Kitts.
Left hand's overrated.
Wofford 6-4 on the year, have really challenged themselves in non-conference play against Kentucky, at Duke, Played their last game against Lehigh. Wanted to challenge themselves against South Carolina. Can't get that one to go, though. Pock off the mark again.
Well, it's a Wofford team that was ranked as high as 14th in the mid-major poll earlier this year. So the talent's there. I think it just speaks to just South Carolina came ready to play today.
Pow knocks down another. She's in double figures now. 3 of 6 from three-point range. Excuse me, just 2 of 5. She's 4 of 10 overall. Nice backdoor cut, and Rose finishes it. That's a small victory right there, right? You have to celebrate the victories when you play a team like South Carolina.
I mean, if I'm Rose, I'm celebrating. I'm asking my parents to make sure they got that photo of me finishing in the paint.
Kitts with the rebound. Reestablishes. Kicks out to Raven Johnson. The battle. And somehow Wofford comes away with it.
I think something to watch as Wofford has played so hard to get to this point in the game, and I'm seeing a lot of players breathing hard, except for Rachel Rose. She's still going.
And she slaps her hands together because she had it. Just a nifty move between a couple of defenders. Hall has it blocked. And Pow will set it back up. 16 on the shot clock. Wofford back to their man. Raven Johnson, short, gets her own rebound, goes up again, uses the window.
Yes, that is the point guard for South Carolina that averages about 1.5 offensive rebounds a game, and that time got her own miss and put it in.
Fagan using her length on Rose. Maddie Heiss, good defense once again. South Carolina just not allowing anything easy inside.
You've heard me just raving about Sanaya Fagan's growth this year. That time, just such great ball intelligence there. Knew she didn't need to gather it in, just tipped it right to Kitts for the 2.
Yeah, great court awareness, just recognizing where her teammates are. Molly Massengale missing that shot. Into the game, Mylasia Fulwiley as well as Tessa Johnson. And a jump ball this time will go Gamecock direction.
I know Chloe Kitts didn't get that shot to go down, but I also believe she put it up because she knew her teammate would get the rebound if she missed.
Tessa Johnson for mid-range, and then a foul away from the basketball. The officials coming together. I think we've introduced our officials. Kyle Bacon, Tony Patillo, and Kevin Pahey are the officials today. Count the basket.
And we had a clamping call. And what I mean by that is the arm of the player grabbed the other one and pinned it down so she couldn't go up with it. That's what the call was.
Yeah, and the foul on Chloe Kitts. Knocked out of bounds by Johnson. 11 on the shot clock for the Terriers. Terriers from Spartanburg, South Carolina, just 94 miles northwest of Columbia. They play in a great arena there, the Jerry Richardson Indoor Stadium that Jimmy Garrity talked to us about is just a gem if you've never been there. He calls timeout to get his team around to gather as South Carolina leading big here in the third quarter. Eight SEC teams in the top 25. Here are the games you will see on Thursday.
Well, I'm going to be on the call for South Carolina at Mizzou. You're going to be on the call for LSU at Arkansas. But Brendan, I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, this is the most excited I have been about SEC action, the most wide open I have felt it has been in the last 5 years. And I think case in point is, oh yeah, Oklahoma and Texas, 2 ranked teams, are kicking it off. Yeah. And that opening day.
Welcome to the Southeastern Conference, and then those 2 old conference foes will play one another on opening night. A jump ball called, and we're going to take another break. We're at the 5-minute mark in the third quarter. South Carolina leading 55-26, but we're going to be talking more about SEC coming up. Welcome back to Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks lead Wofford 55-26 here in the third quarter. But we are looking forward to SEC play. 8 teams ranked in the top 25, 4 of them in the top 10, Christy.
We've always said this, every night's a dogfight. I am really eager to see, though, because of the quality of play in the SEC, top to bottom right now. Just can a South Carolina or any of them go undefeated through a conference season? I'm going to go on record now. I don't think anyone will this year. I think the league is that good, and it's the wear and tear. You have to be on point every night, or that upset could happen.
Matthews finally rings up a three-pointer for Wofford out of the timeout. I'm looking forward to the fact that Vic Schaefer is coming back to the SEC, and we're renewing that rivalry. It's not Mississippi State anymore. It will be Texas, and South Carolina will play Texas twice this year as Edwards powers up inside and will go to the free throw line.
I think, Brenda, the million-dollar question is Vic Schaefer excited to come back to the SEC and face players like Edwards, who's just, you've got to hold your ground. If she gets you into the arc, she's too strong, she's too agile, and can power it up.
And it's 3 fouls for Helen Matthews.
And here's the other thing about Edwards. She reminds me of Letitia Mead here. She can defend any player on the floor. She's the front of the press for South Carolina. She is just that disruptive on the defensive end.
Rose with a little hesitation.
But Edwards stopped it. That little jab there made her slow up.
And a nice floater from Matthews. We've seen her score 5 points here in the third quarter. Fulwiley, no. Watkins just goes up over the top of Matthews to grab that rebound, and a foul is called. Well, coming up next, right after this one, we cap the afternoon triple header with number 5 Texas, who we were just talking about, hosting University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. That's UTRGV for those of you that like the alphabet version, at the Moody Center in Austin.
I don't envy those on the call today having to say that over and over.
The Vaqueros. And a nice rebound and attempt by Edwards. Yeah, Texas with Rory Harmon back from injury for last year. Madison Booker, just a tremendous talent in that sophomore class. So many talented sophomores. There's one right there, Fulwiley, for South Carolina. There's just so much talent up and down the board on all these SEC teams. I'm so looking forward to conference play.
Yeah, I remember earlier this season, and everyone's talking about what we lost to graduation. And I'm like, hang on a second. This sophomore class is really good. And then just within the first week, the freshman class around the country has really made their mark and is only continued with players like Edwards. And it is going to be really exciting. And I like that shot by Fulwiley because she did not hesitate. She missed the one before, but I like the last 2 looks because I feel like she's been a little bit too unselfish at times. I would like to see her look for hers more.
She's got 9 points. Rose misses that one. The last time down the court, Maddie Heiss was able to put in a bucket for Wofford. As they come in here trying to challenge themselves against one of the best teams in the country, the defending national champion, just trying to play with courage, and they have not backed down. They are undersized in every position, but they have continued to play hard. But what a pass! Edwards can't finish it, though, off the nifty pass from Fulwiley.
Pow had a grin on her face. She goes, yeah, you're going to hear about that one in film.
Floor fading away, and look at the hustle from Hawk. Oh, and that's Watkins getting her hands on it because Rose was wide open under the basket. Beautiful pass to Pow. Hawk got it. Now you're starting to see some of that three-point shooting that Wofford is really capable of. They're 7 of 22 from beyond the arc.
And miscommunication by South Carolina not getting matched up, and Wofford made them pay.
South Carolina going to take their time, set up a play. Fulwiley gets the ball screen from Edwards. All the way to the rim. She's got double digits now with 11. Heiss off to Rose. Rose picks up her dribble. Massingale, just a freshman, and gets that somehow to crawl up over the front of the rim. But on the other end, let's watch this one again.
Well, Fulwiley's a walking highlight wheel. She's calling for the screen. You see the double team, and floor is there. It does not matter. That's how explosive Malaysia Fulwiley is.
Pow going to the bench. Tessa Johnson picked up the foul to send Massingale to the free throw line, and she completes the three-point play. One of the best free throw shooters in the, she is the best free throw shooter in the SoCon with 83%, Molly Massingale.
And Wofford's been a better second half team, and at this point in the third quarter, they've only been outscored by 1 point.
Good hands defensively by Helen Matthews. Yeah, South Carolina just outscoring Wofford 18-17 here in the third quarter. Jimmy Garrity has to be happy about the way his team has just scratched and clawed in this one. Fulwiley hung up in the air what seemed like forever, but then committed the foul against Rachel Rose.
And that was a great job by Rose to get into the body of Fulwiley to get that foul called.
Talked about Rachel Rose, the 5'7" senior from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Started her career at USC Upstate, was the Big South Freshman of the Year before transferring to Wofford. Has been the Player of the Year in the SoCon the last 2 years in a row. Preseason pick to win it once again. And you just have to be so impressed as she comes in here to the defending national champion. She's got 16 points, 3 for 7 from three-point range, and has really battled even with that broken nose.
Well, here's the statistic on Rachel Rose that I like. 34 times in 2 years has she scored 20 points or more, and we might have 35 here today.
Six seconds left in the third quarter. Matthews pulls up. Rose tracks it down. 1 second left. Doesn't know it. And Wofford actually outscores South Carolina 19-18 in the third quarter. Jimmy Garrity happy. Don Staley not so much. Going into the fourth quarter here in Columbia, South Carolina outscoring the Wofford Terriers the first and second, but the Terriers turning around and outscoring the Gamecocks 19-18 in the third quarter as we start the fourth quarter. Wofford, preseason pick to finish first in the Southern Conference. They've got the defending Player of the Year in the conference, the defending Freshman of the Year. They've got Helen Matthews back from injury, and they are battling here in Columbia.
And they have Jimmy Garrity as a leader. What he does on the offensive end, I've been really impressed what they do in their actions. Now, credit South Carolina. They've blown up a lot of that today. But this is a team that some coaches talk about winning a championship. He has been very diligent in how he planned this schedule to make sure this team was prepared. And he's got a leader in Rachel Ross. And so I think when you have those two especially, you got a chance.
And one of the reasons they're playing this game is because they know they're a one-bid league, and they have to win their conference tournament to make it to the NCAA tournament, and that is their goal. Back on the court as Miriam Dowda is making her first appearance. The transfer from Arkansas is in the game, number 30. And you can see what Don Staley thought about that possession.
I think Jolette's expression's even more priceless.
Lisa Boyer, longtime Don Staley assistant, Jolette Law, all the experience that she has. And Rose can't finish that one amongst the taller players for South Carolina, and a whistle, and it'll stay on this end. Well, we have Texas and Georgia covered in Atlanta and New Orleans before, during, and after their college football playoff quarterfinal matchups. Our pregame coverage begins New Year's Eve with the Paul Feinbaum Show at 3 Eastern, and on game day, we have you covered from noon Eastern to midnight, wrapping up this unforgettable day of SEC football final with all the highlights, interviews, and complete breakdowns of both games. Football wrapping up, so much going on. South Carolina going to be playing in the Citrus Bowl. Massengale, hesitation, drives right into a couple of defenders. 3 on the shot clock. Matthews, can she get it up? Tried to throw it up left-handed, and a shot clock violation. And this crowd very appreciative of that defensive effort.
Well, you had Fagan on the perimeter defending a guard off the bounce. Hesitation moves everything. She stayed with her. That's the versatility of players in this system.
Dowda with the basketball, her first touch. Too strong. Rachel Rose leading Wofford with 16 points. Out to Pock. And good hustle by Massengale to keep that one alive. Pock can't finish it, though, because Fagan was right there. Raven Johnson all the way to the hoop. Eight points now for Raven Johnson. South Carolina has 3 in double digits, led by Pow Pow with 12. Rose going to work on Raven Johnson. That's going to be a tough one to get that one up. She picked up her pivot foot, but stays with it. Look at her on the floor, lost her headband, and it will be South Carolina basketball.
Well, you just saw the defense by Raven Johnson, but she's also so good in transition. You see her just kind of measuring the whole way, but then can explode right by a set defender for the 2.
The last 3 games, Johnson has been averaging almost 8 points a game. Her average overall is just under 5. You mentioned it earlier in the game. Did not start the season well, but has been good scoring-wise. She's always great defensively and has picked up the scoring the last few games.
I do think when you have new pieces, because even though there's not that many new players, new roles, when this team so much evolved around Camille Cardozo a year ago, even the other bigs played with her or around her, but that was the focal point. And so everybody's learning to play together again. I think that really affects a point guard the most. And Raven Johnson, you can tell she's getting more and more comfortable with everybody on the floor, and her game is evolving.
And delivered a beautiful pass there to Tessa Johnson. Johnson now also in double figures, so 4 players in double figures for South Carolina. And what a nifty move from Helen Matthews.
We're seeing more change of pace by Wofford this second half, and it's been effective for them versus trying to be as fast as South Carolina.
Yeah, you're not going to out-quick South Carolina, but you have to be deceptive. And that was a nice spin move. Nice rotation over from Fagan. They call the foul, though. Fans behind us not very happy with that call. How about the courage from Rachel Rose? She's playing with a broken nose.
Well, there's courage, there's ball IQ, there's tenacity, and there's the change of pace. And that where, again, she kind of does that little hesitation and then gets the step on her defender.
Rose played the first game of the season, and then after an injury, she was out for 5 games. This is her 4th game back. And you just see the leadership and the tenacity of this player of the year in the SoCon, and she's got 18 points now.
It was really interesting when Jimmy Garrity said she doesn't really like scoring. She'd rather be the passer. When I make her come out of the game, it's not because she's tired, it's because she won't shoot the ball. He said we need 25 plus from her every night because we're just better when she's taking shots.
Raven Johnson looking pretty good from 3-point range, and now she's in double figures, so 5 players for the Gamecocks in double digits. Backdoor cut from Rose. That time she lost Johnson.
I'm enjoying watching the South Carolina staff with some of these miscues because they're not playing scoreboard. They're playing the standard right now. And so the back door, the lack of rotations and whatnot, the staff will hone in on these things to help their team get better and get ready for SEC play.
Tessa Johnson so smooth from three-point range. That's her second of the game. Pock from the top of the key. And Pock, typically a good shooter, but she has struggled today.
I think she's exerted a lot because she's outmanned in the low post. She had the front there on Dowda, and the ball just went over her. She's worked so hard in all three facets.
So Miriam Dowda, the transfer from Arkansas, who was a starter last year for the Razorbacks, getting some time here in the fourth quarter. She was fouled by Mia Floor. Her third. She'll take a seat and is replaced by Queen Ikiwu.
System in Arkansas, a lot of threes, a lot of running the floor. So this is a big adjustment for Miriam Dowda to come into the South Carolina. And what I'm seeing from her is a lot more of a low post game. And that's only going to help her long term because she can still shoot the three. But she's learning how to be more of a physical post presence here in South Carolina.
She was born in Nigeria, moved to the United States when she was 12 years old. Her father was a professional basketball player in Belgium. You see some of those genetics right there. And there she goes, cutting back door. That gives a player confidence. She's not able to finish, but you see her getting into the flow of the game now.
I think that's the fourth just absolute beautiful post-to-post pass that the bigs just haven't been able to convert. But you're seeing the chemistry, big to big there. The roll by Dowda and the pinpoint pass by Fagan. Just unfortunate Dowda couldn't finish.
Pock picked up the foul for Wofford. Dowda is a scorer. She has a career high of 22 points when she was at Arkansas when she played Tulsa. This year her most points is a 10-point effort against Coppin State. But she makes both free throws there.
Well, she's also playing behind a lot more quality post depth here at South Carolina. So minutes are a little bit harder to come by. But I like the progress. That's what I keep saying. And this is what I love about Dawn Staley's system. It's not about points. It is about the team, and it is about winning, and it is about preparing for April. Great one-on-one defense by Bree Hall there.
Wraparound pass somehow gets through, and then a double dribble called on Ikiwu. We talk about Dawn Staley and the strength of this bench and the fact that somehow she is able to get typically 10 different players. Now they have 10 today, but Maddie McDaniel not available out with a concussion. But she is so good, Dawn, at strengthening all of those players down the bench and communicating their roles and reinforcing all those things that they value when those players get on the court.
I think so many people think Dawn Staley wins because she has talent. Now, she has talent, but I think a lot of it is talent wants to come here and play for the Hall of Famer, but they also understand they will be developed. And it may not always go their way, but there's a trust there. Why? Because Dawn Staley is an exceptional communicator. And it's not just with the players. It is with their coaches. It is with their parents that she makes sure everybody is on the same page.
There's Dowda pulling up for a three, probably surprising Wofford just a little bit. And Miriam Dowda will be at the free throw line when we return. South Carolina up big here in the fourth quarter. Another great crowd here on hand in the Colonial Life Arena in Columbia as the South Carolina Gamecocks up 78-47. A lot of points being put on the board by the Gamecocks. A lot of points being scored in the SEC. Here are the top 5 scoring teams in the country, and 4 of them SEC, and Texas coming up next.
Well, the top 4 are all about pace of play. Texas is about turning you over and then making you pay for it, as you're about to see after our game. But a lot of excitement, and this is the coach in me. We've got a lot of scoring. I'm eager to see the game plans to minimize the scoring of these top 4 teams.
And Oklahoma and Texas are going to play each other on Thursday.
Some familiarity there.
There's some familiarity for sure. LSU in a tough one right now. They'll play at Arkansas on Thursday to open up SEC play. This South Carolina team will go to Columbia, Missouri for their first conference game. And Miriam Dowda at the free throw line with the 3 attempts. Made 2, missed 1. Fulwiley on the bench. Terrific night again for her.
Well, Brenda, when she came out a little while ago, she went down the tunnel with the head athletic trainer, kind of poking at her knee a little bit. So nice to see her back out here.
Dowda kicks it out to Johnson. Johnson, too strong, tries to chase down her own rebound. Rose there to get it. Rachel Rose leading the way with 20 points for Wofford. She's got 8 rebounds now, but this is her 40th career game with 20 points. Also on the floor, Evangelia Pak. She's got 11 rebounds. There she is again, hustling after that one. Can't retrieve it, but that's the most rebounds in a game this year for a Wofford player. And even we talked about it, she hasn't had a great shooting day at all, but she has really exerted herself in a lot of different ways.
I see why she was the SoCon Freshman of the Year. She does so many little things that won't even show up in a stat sheet, but is really good and impactful for this program.
Rose on the floor. Johnson steals it away. Hall thought about it again. No, and the tip in for Raven Johnson. "13 points for Johnson. Rose from the top of the key. Too strong. Oh, and Dowda and Edwards collide. And then a travel called. Well, we jumpstart conference play Saturday, January 4th, with a full slate of men's basketball games right here on the SEC Network. Georgia and Ole Miss start the day at noon Eastern. Then Mississippi State hosts South Carolina, followed by Missouri Auburn and Oklahoma Alabama. And we cap the day with the Lone Star State rivalry between Texas and Texas A&M. That's Saturday for the men's games. Then before that, Thursday, the women's games coming up. Colin Murray Boyles in the house. So many great teams. 10 SEC men teams ranked in the top 25. 8 women's teams in the top 25. Boy, we're going to have some great games once again this year. Johnson out ahead to Raven Johnson. Maybe a little too unselfish, but somehow into the hands of Joyce Edwards, who finishes.
Well, that starts with Tessa Johnson, the left-handed full-court baseball pass to get the break going.
5 players in double figures for the Gamecocks. Pak just has not been able to score. And that time, a good hustle play. And it's a foul on Mia Floor from Wofford. Dawn Staley kind of looking over all of those stats. What do you think's going through her mind right now?
Standard. Again, you heard Kelly Harper say it in studio. Coaches for this game, there's a lot of anxiety. You feel, I always felt, I'll put it on me, pressure in that last game before conference play because you want your team to establish positive momentum. Now, South Carolina has done that, but Dawn Staley knows the little things that could get this team beat. And those are the things that every good coach works to minimize. And so whether it's some of the missed shots at the rim that this team's capable of making, she wants them to be better. Whether it is better three-point shooting, she wants and needs this team to be better. She wants this team to continue or to minimize taking bad shots. Bad shots might as well be a turnover, coaches will say, because your team's not ready to rebound.
Dowda tries to tip it back in. Well, 44 points in the paint for South Carolina to just 12 for Wofford. So they certainly have gotten a lot of good shots. And a little cleanup time here as Bree Hall finishing.
But I'll also tell you, because they're so much taller, they've missed 14 of those shots near the rim. And so, again, when you get into SEC play, that window of opportunity shrinks. You've got to play to the standard, and you've got to do the little things correctly if you expect to get W's, especially when you go on the road.
And a steal for Johnston. South Carolina was outscored by Wofford in the third quarter, 19-18, but they have come back and outscored the Terriers 24-6 and taking care of business here in the fourth. They're on a 17-0 run. Make that 20-0 with the Dowda three. So last game of non-conference play before we start SEC play. Of course, South Carolina will play UConn in February, but your assessment of the overall performance today?
Balanced team. They can beat you in a lot of different ways. We've seen the transition. We've seen the paint points. We've seen them excel on the glass. We've seen a freshman look pretty good today in Joyce Edwards.
5 players in double figures for the Gamecocks. And they have been dominating in this one against a Wofford College team that is preseason picked to win the SoCon. And that's how this one will end. South Carolina with the 93-47 victory, their 65th consecutive home win as they prepare for SEC play. They scored the last 22 points of the game to finish this one off. Final score 93-47 for Christy Thomascutti. I'm Brenda Van Lingen. So long from the Colonial Life Arena. Now it's time to send it back to the studio with Dari Noka and Kelly Harper.
Let's get you back to Columbia real quick. Te-Hina Pow, 12 points, 4 assists, couple of rebounds, and hanging out with us for a couple of minutes. So we appreciate having you. Thanks for coming out here with it. Look, we were been talking to the coach here, Kelly Harper, about the things that you want out of this last game, the first game after break, but the last game before conference play. What were the biggest things that the coaches and you all talked about wanting to get out of today?
Is that my question?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's for you.
Oh, can you? I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention. Can you ask it one more time?
Yeah, no. What were the big things that you and your coaching staff wanted to get out of this game before you get into conference play?
We wanted to get the rust off. We wanted to, play our game, play discipline, play to our standard, and we didn't play to our standard tonight. So we just got to come back in the lab in the next few days and get ready for Mizzou.
Te-Hina, congrats on the win. Did you have a good break? Was it needed?
Oh, it was very much needed, but the right amount of time off. I was very ready to come back to Columbia.
Good. So what do you think your team needs to do before you get into the routine and the rigorous SEC schedule?
We need to get back to our habits. I think we kind of shied away from that, and we just need to get back to being a disciplined team and playing to our standard. And coach is going to get us right for right before SEC conference play. So we just got to get back to who we are and get back to our identity.
I'm looking at the box here. In a game like this, one of the great things is getting a lot of players minutes. You had 10 players that all played at least 10 minutes in this game. Whether you're a starter or you're the 10th person on that squad, what does getting that kind of time with your teammates in a game situation ultimately mean?
I mean, it's great. It's going to prepare us for the long run, and it's going to be, a great run for us as long as, people do their roles and, our team does what we need to do. It's going to be a long season, but we just got to have the players do what they need to do.
So what does your schedule look like now? Are you guys all the way through till Thursday? Will you get a day off? How does that look?
We get a day off tomorrow, and then we got to prepare for Mizzou.
Well, congrats on another win. And on another game for you individually, a good game, but best of luck against Mizzou. We can't wait for conference play.
Thank you. Happy New Year.